Hi and welcome to another Paper Crafting Tuesday. Okay, so today I'm in the mood for heat embossing. So for this I'm going to be using the gold embossing powder by Ranger, and I'll get to play with these two beautiful stamps by Kesi'art. The first thing I'm going to do is work on my card base, and I have a piece of cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 11, and I've already scored it in half at the 5.5 inch mark. So I'm just going to fold that. And this is a piece of stamping paper. It is quite important that you use a paper that will give you a nice print when you use a stamp. So if you're using a smooth cardstock, then that's great. I would not recommend textured cardstock because we're embossing this, so we need a nice crisp image. So this is the front of our card, and I'm going to bring my stamp, which is this gorgeous Eiffel Tower stamp by Kesi'art. I have Versamark, so I'm going to ink my stamp very well. Okay. And these are deeply etched, so they're really good stamps to heat emboss. I'm going to put that, or center that, as much as I can. I see that the image is a little bit longer than larger, but I'm going to go with it. And if I wish so, I can just trim around the edges once I'm done embossing. I'm going to remove my stamp very carefully. I'm going to put a piece of scrap paper underneath this, and I'll use the embossing powder, the gold embossing powder by Ranger. And I'm going to put a healthy dose of that. It doesn't matter if you have more than you need because you can recuperate the leftover. And you just want to make sure that you have powder all over. I always flick it down like this. Before I proceed any further, I'm just going to put back the extra powder in the jar. I'm going to set this aside because I'm going to need it again in a few minutes. Now I'm going to open my card because when I do some heat embossing, I always like to start from underneath. That just gives me a smoother finish. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to let that cool, and we're going to do the other piece, which is a panel of 4 1/4 by 5.5. Same size as the front of our card, but we're going to cut that down later. For now, I'm going to bring my stamp back. I'm going to re-ink it with Versamark. This time around, I'm not too concerned about the placement of the stamp. However, I need the full image, or the inside image, I should say. So I'm going to place that on top, give it a good press, make sure that everything is being transferred, and lift that up. I'm going to bring back my copy paper and the powder. So I'm going to let this cool really well because I'm going to add some color over top of that. On my work surface now, I have 3 distress inks. I have Broken China, Seedless Preserve, and Chip Sapphire. And I have my inking tools ready with the foam at the end. And I'm going to use these 3 to cover the whole image. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to start with Broken China, which is my lightest color. Here, let me move this out of the way. And the other reason why I like to work on a craft mat is that when you use this inking tool, it doesn't get caught, it doesn't catch us on paper, so it's easier to ink an image. Then I'm going to do seedless preserves, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous purple. And you can go over the broken china as well. And if you're not sure on how much to put, how much color to add, just start slowly and then build your way up to darker. Now I'm going to switch to chip sapphire, and I'm going to make sure to go over the seedless preserve because look at how rich this color becomes. It's beautiful. So to me, this is like a Paris scene at night. I really, really love what I get by adding the chip sapphire over the seedless preserves. Okay, so now that we're done with this, I'm going to take a clean paper towel, just to dry. You can use a rag if you want to, and I'm just going to go over the embossed areas because the ink is sitting on it but is not being absorbed by the embossing powder. So you don't want to have your hands full of ink when you manipulate that card, or worse, have the recipient dirty their hands. So I'm just going to remove that. And when I'm done buffing over with the dry cloth, I'm going to take my heat tool again just to go over it and to sort of revive that gold. I love the look of these colors with the gold powder. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay, so if I tilt it, you'll be able to see how gorgeous this is. Now I'm going to trim around this image. So I've brought back the background that I have previously made, and I also trimmed on each side because I thought it was just too large. And now I'm going to cut around this image because I'm going to layer it on top. And what I want to cut is just inside or in between these two lines. So I'm just going to use my scissors. You can use a paper trimmer if you want to. I'm just going to trust myself and go with it. And if it's not perfect, even better. Your friends will know that you've done it and not bought it in a store. Like so. So let me see if I can zoom in. All right. So we are left with a very, very thin gold border all around. And then this will get layered on top of this image. And what happens is you're going to see the top of the Eiffel Tower there on the card base, the left of the script writing, and the corners, which I think is a beautiful look. Now, of course, I'm going to pop this so that we get an even more dramatic effect. So I'm gonna turn that piece over, and I'm gonna add my foam adhesives. And I'm going to layer that right on top. Look how beautiful this is. Now, of course, we're not done. I want to add something else to the front, and then I'm going to decorate the inside of the card. So I have a Sharpie poster paint. This is the white extra fine. So I'm going to add dots. Oops. I guess if I have bigger dots, then it doesn't really matter. But I'm just going to add some stars to the sky. And of course, because we have distress ink underneath, it might transpire through the paint, but I'm not too worried about that. It's just going to make the stars a little bit more subdued, which is fine. So I have different sizes of stars, as you can see. This is probably a very big planet in the distance. I love, love, love how that looks. All right, I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm going to decorate the inside a little bit. Well, I have to say that I am agreeably surprised to notice that the distress ink did not go through the white paint. How awesome is that? I'm not sure if it's because I heat set the whole thing after I colorized it, but nice. Okay, so it looks like everything is pretty much dry, and in fact, I might add some more stars when I'm done the whole card, but for now, I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to do some stamping inside the card. Now, I'm going to use distress ink for this, and of course, distress ink will never give me a crisp image, and that's exactly what I want. In fact, I'm actually going to stamp off so that I get a more subdued effect. I just want kind of like a ghost image of this other stamp set, or this stamp by Kesi'art. But I especially want that postcard thing at the bottom of the inside of the card. So I'm going to take the Chip Sapphire Distress ink pad. I'm just going to ink the bottom and a bit on the side here. And I might use a baby powder, or baby powder. I might use a baby wipe just to remove some hard edges that I might have done with the stamp pad. I'm going to stamp off on just a piece of scrap paper to remove most of the ink, and then I'm going to bring back the inside of the card, and I'm going to stamp that just by touching it very lightly, and there you go. I have this ghost image of the postcard at the bottom, and that doesn't hinder a writing of the sentiment inside the card. There's the finished card. I love, love, love this look. Those colors of distress inks together are so rich. I love the effect. And what a nice surprise that I had with the poster paint marker. Awesome. Now I've pulled out a few other stamps that you might want to check out by Kesi'art. These would look also fabulous, embossed and colorized the way I did this card. So that's it for today's tutorial. I hope that you've enjoyed it. And as usual, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I will talk to you on Friday.